So again, a really interesting survey, at least from my perspective, probably says more about me than anyone else, but we have a lot of damp zones around the property, and actually there's more than one source of water. So have a look at the survey.
So it's kind of the area where you've got...
That's a passive vent. They don't actually do much. There's a extractor fan there, which is a bathroom style. So it's too small. Not sure it's coming on. There's a kitchen style one here. Oh, but that's just recycling, so that's going to be part of the issue. So this is the bathroom fan upstairs. It's going too slowly. The second, that's the middle number. So it's relatively clean and tidy. There's the timer and there's the humidistat. So I've turned off the isolator. So a bit of mould growing. There's a condensation dribble mark. You're obviously quite aware of relative humidity and keeping an eye on it. And this says 60%, which sounds like it's really good, but you have to note that the number, the degree centigrade, is 15.2 degrees centigrade. So relative humidity is relative to air's capacity to hold moisture. The warmer it is, the more it can hold. Conversely, the colder, the less it can hold. And you'll find that the dew point for this is roughly 7 degrees centigrade. So if there's any wall that's 7 degrees centigrade, then the relative humidity will be 100%. You'll get condensation. So it's been overnight. Last night it got close to zero, and some of the walls may well have hit 100% relative humidity. I don't know, the data loggers will tell us more, but I'm just giving you an explanation. I do it in my head very quickly by taking 100% minus 60 divided by 5 comes to 8 degrees centigrade, and taking 8 degrees centigrade off the 15. That's just a quick way of working out the dew point. But what I'm going to be getting you to do is to measure the dew point, and always make sure the dew point, the internal dew point, is below the outside temperature. And that way you will reduce and remove the risk of condensation and mold. So this is looking through a thermal camera where blue is colder than orange and red. The corners lose a lot of heat because there's more outside surface area. And in the gaps around the doors, or the pore insulation around doors. So the base of the wall was dry mainly. Dry here. So it appears to have been damp proofed. You see that line? That's almost certainly from damp. So just measuring this. This is showing 94% relative humidity. So what happens is condensation forms above the damp proof course and forms rising damp-like symptoms. So we've now opened the floor and we're looking underneath the floor. There's a bit of rock there. So this is after about 5 minutes, and the meniscus seems to be holding, so it looks like you don't have a leak. So that's good. No mains water leak. If you did, if you run a tap upstairs, you'll see that it very quickly water sucks back in. We've got what's called an echo drain. Actually, that's the brand name, but is similar, if not the actual echo drain. And it seems to be okay. It will be draining away. That's the idea. But it may be Seems to be draining over there, so I'll have a look over there. Here we're looking at the neighbour's gully, and it's clearly it's dry down there. So it's dry at the base of the gully, which means there's a leak. Yeah, so that is definitely a leaking drain, because normally there's a U-bend full of water to stop the smells from the drains. That's dry now. That's sorted out. Dry and cleansing.
Floorboards, and it's like definitely looks.
Okay, I'll have a look at that.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be the reason that you're getting mould internally. So the smell of damp that you're finding is not from subfloor vapour.
Oh really? Okay.
No, it would be because it's essentially isolated. I mean, you've got timber boards that have got gaps in them, but you'll find the subfloor dew point, which is a measure of the amount of vapour in air, is going to be probably quite a bit lower than the internal dew point. Okay. But I mean, I'll look with the data loggers and I'll start measuring that, but it wouldn't explain the damp at the back of the kitchen and the top floor. I mean, it could explain some of the damp down here, but I think that's less likely, but I'll look at that.
I mean, the damp at the kitchen, I'm pretty sure or the one by the door, we sort of know because we.
But it's on both sides though, isn't it? It's not. You've got damp here.
Yeah, so that you don't know. This bit, you always had damp on this wall, and the bricks are terrible and very absorbent. And then we had thermal boarding put here, but I think they didn't put it on the side.
Yeah, well, your bricks are fine.
Yeah.
It will be to do with heat loss. That explains why you're getting it there.
Okay.
But the root cause is vapour. It's never heat loss. It's always vapour.
Okay.
Every property has somewhere that's colder than somewhere else.
Yeah.
Every property has somewhere, including the cold water pipe, where you get the temperatures that more or less the same as the outside.
Yeah.
Down to zero. Obviously below zero, you don't get that. But okay, good. So you've got a dehumidifier here, which is showing 76% relative humidity. Do you? Sorry?
Pretty low, normally it says over 90.
It says over 90 normally, did you say?
Yeah.
So how often do you take out the water?
It depends, like every other day or every few days we've had it on.
Okay, so it's 16. Turn that off. You've got hygroscopic salts there at the base of the wall. That won't have caused the dampness I've seen inside, but it's interesting. So the high moisture levels in the subfloor, which I believe is coming from your neighbour's gully, because that's dry and it should be wet. You should have an airlock to stop the smells coming from the drain, and if it's dry, it's a sign that it's leaking underneath. You've got rot in the subfloor. What's happened is the front has been damp proofed, which is stopping the dampness showing in the wall, but it doesn't stop the root cause of the damp, and it's carrying on up. And A, they probably haven't damp proofed this, and B, with chimney breast there's a greater vulnerability anyway, because you've got more brick into the subfloor, so you've got more surface area to absorb the humidity. And what happens is the high subfloor relative humidity causes condensation above the damp proof course, and it causes rising damp like symptoms, but it isn't actually rising damp. So it's actually, yeah, so the meter is 999, which is, damp. It's probably had some sort of damp proofing there. It's a bit drier. I'll try over there as well, so you don't have to know. So basically there are two issues you've got here. You've got condensation and you've got subfloor condensation coming from the neighbour's gully, which is cracked, and therefore the water has dispersed from it. You can tell it's cracked because there's no water in it. You should have water in the base of the gully to stop the smells from coming from the drains.
Yeah.
And there's no water there, which means that it's cracked. Well, there could be other.
What, 69?
69, yeah. It's on their side, it's their rainwater, but it's affecting both subfloors, and that's why you've got high levels of relative humidity in the subfloor. You've got ROS in the subfloor, and the reason you're getting it only there is because the place has been damp proofed and it's hiding the effects of dampness rather than solving it. But the reason you're getting it here is almost only you've got metal behind here supporting an RSJ that's holding up the back of the house, which is creating the opening, and that will go. This has got a subfloor as well, and this will be cold underneath, and it's just drawing the heat away from that creates a risk of condensation. There could be something happening on the other side, but if it was water coming through from the other side, you would see a brown stain from.
Yeah, it's not water now. I think there's a stair. That's where the staircase is. I think. Yeah.
Well, they presumably got something very similar to you, I would have thought.
No, that's
Oh.
same.
No, because they moved them.
Because
they had they had the staircase moved back.
So maybe there's some heat loss on their side that's contributing, but it's never the heat loss, it's always the internal vapour, and your kitchen extractor fan doesn't have an external.
No.
So it's just coming back out here.
Yeah.
Which is, don't worry about it, but you have got a dehumidifier and you just have to use it to get rid of the vapour. I want you to bring the internal vapour levels down so that, and we'll look at the data loggers in a sec, so that the dew point, which is a measure of the amount of vapour in air, but it's also the temperature where condensation takes place at, you want to keep that below the outside temperature at all times, day and night. And you can look up what the outside temperature is, looking on the Met Office website or BBC or whatever. So those are the explanations. You've got two issues going on. And the bathroom extractor fan wasn't working particularly well. I've improved the speed. I've got an extra 50% roughly by just cleaning this out. And I've increased the overrun to 30 minutes, but you want to have that door closed after a shower, just to make sure that the vapour is going out rather than back into the house. And drying, obviously I see, like everyone else, you're drying clothes internally, but you need to have a dehumidifier to draw out the vapour. Have it near to the drying. There you go. That's from the gutters. You've got plants growing out of your roof, your gutter. It's not obviously the root cause of the problem here, but you want to deal with that. Otherwise you'll overflow and cause dampness on the bedroom above, first floor bedroom. So the gutter just needs to be cleared. It really needs to be done with somebody on a ladder, because you can't really get to it easily from above or below. So in summary, there is dampness in the subfloor void causing condensation to be drawn up, and it's going up through the chimney breast because everywhere else has been damp proofed. And you might say, well, that's the case for damp proofing treatment, but it's not dealing with the root cause. The root cause was your neighbour's drain is cracked. That's why you've got no water in the trap. Otherwise, you would normally see water in a drain. And the very simple solution that will cost, 10, 20, 30 pounds plus an hour or so is to put a U-bend, an angle, 90-degree angle elbow connecting a pipe so that you're dispersing water away from the property onto the street. Obviously, it's better to fill to put a sleeve in the drain and clear it, but I don't suppose your neighbour will be volunteering to do that. The other thing is, when you've done that, the ACO drain won't be draining away, so you may have to create a channel for the water to go away to the street as well from the ACO drain. And then you've got to deal with the condensation inside the property. But they're two separate issues. and not helped by past damp proofing treatment. It's there to hide the problem. It doesn't deal with the root cause, which is high subfloor relative humidity from the drain. Thank you very much. Do comment and see you at the next video.